Right, you know how sometimes you go to a motor show expecting a few concept cars, loud music and burning LED lights? Well, Beijing was that, but also something else. Desert Eagle. Yep, I'm doing my weekly vid from China. It's been a very exciting few days here, and guess what? V8s are back on the menu. Oh yeah. But first, we've got an all-new BYD supercar. It's pretty wild. And that's not the only exotic vehicle we're talking about today. GWM, yes, GWM is building a Ferrari Slayer powered by a 4-litre twin-turbo V8. Yep, today we've got V8 engines flying at us left, right, and center, including for the GWM Tank 700. Yes, the V8 is confirmed. Even Geely, the mob that owns Lotus and Volvo, is quietly putting up its hands saying, yeah, we can build a V8 too. Legit. The iconic Nissan Terrano is also returning, and it looks like a proper mud plugger. Zeekr has confirmed not one, but 2 Range Rover rivals for Australia, and they look pretty gangster, I won't lie. Oh, and BYD's new compact ute has been outed, and it has a name, the Mako. Mako of that what you will. Sorry, that was a bad joke. There's a lot to get through, so buckle up. Now let's start with the big, beautiful, slightly jaw-dropping news from BYD. Now, some of you will know Fang Cheng Bao, or at least you'll know its products. That's because they sell in Australia as Denzas right now. It's the B5 and the B8. They're pretty good vehicles, but not what you'd describe as pulse pounding. Well, hold on to your hand baskets, because that is exactly what BYD revealed at the 2026 Beijing Motor Show, the Formula X concept car. Yes, it's a full-blown concept car. Wait, no, it's a full-blown supercar. There we go, got it. We're talking a low-slung, 2-door convertible, ultra-lightweight with a carbon fiber body, and it looks sick. It's got this aggressive aerodynamic package, active rear spoiler, heavily sculpted bodywork. It's a head-turner. And it follows what BYD calls its metal life design philosophy, but that kind of sounds more like something, I don't know, a workout supplement after, rather than a sort of car design ethos. Inside, you get a full race-inspired cockpit, physical controls, yes, hallelujah, physical controls. You've got 4-point harnesses, sports bucket seats. It looks ready to roll. And it goes into production late this year, late 2026. Full tech specs have not yet dropped, but early reports suggest we're going to see a multi-motor powertrain and the next generation blade battery technology. So yes, fast, electric, and very, very dramatic. Now, will it come to Australia? That is the burning question. Because Australia, as we all know, punches well above its weight when it comes to high-performance vehicles and exotic cars. Per capita, Aussies buy a lot of these cars. We just like fast cars. It's what we do. But here's the thing. Denza's local boss, Mark Harland, has already flagged something is coming. And I quote, there will be some form of a sports car in the Denza portfolio in the future. Not on day one, but definitely in the portfolio going forward. That, my friends, is about as close to a nudge and a wink as any corporate spokesperson is gonna get. Watch this space. Speaking of supercars, GWM is getting in on the act as well. It's joining the party, but this one, it's a little different. Rewind the clock 3 years, and GWM went out and hired a bloke called Adam Thompson, and he is the former chief engineer of the McLaren GT. Yes, he knows his exotic car stuff. So he is leading the development of this new GWM supercar. So they're clearly very serious about making this a proper challenger. Will it upset the status quo? It might not, but it might. Either way, they're deadly serious about this new car. So this Chinese exotic will sit under a new sub-brand called GWM GF, and GF stands for Great Faith. So we still haven't seen this car. We've just seen snippets of the underpinnings, but a full reveal is expected next year in 2027. What we do know is it's going to be a mid-engine exotic, and the engine in it will be a 4-litre twin-turbocharged V8. Yes, thank you very much. Other McLaren-inspired bits are coming too, like a carbon fiber monocoque chassis. So it'll be stiff, it'll be light. And GWM even has GT3 racing aspirations, including both a full race version and a road-going GT3 variant. If the Chinese challenger pulls this off, it will add insane street cred to the brand. GWM's billionaire chairman Jack Wei recently told Aussie journalists in China that this V8 strategy is deliberately not chasing the Chinese market. So it's a bit of a gamble, a bit of a risk, given that China is the world's biggest and most profitable new car market. So, mid-mounted twin-turbo V8, GT3 racing aspirations, and a former McLaren engineer heading up the project. This is pretty cool. The world genuinely feels like it's been turned upside down. Sometimes it's for better, sometimes it's for worse. I think this one is definitely for better though, and yes, I bloody love it. I'm looking forward to it. Now, the V8 madness doesn't stop there. Oh no, because the 2026 Beijing Motor Show was basically a V8 revival meeting. And I feel like someone should acknowledge that, so you're welcome. So GWM's chairman again, Jack Wei, confirmed the Tank 700, their big, proper, serious, super luxurious off-roader, will be getting the V8 as well. Because you don't want to just develop this engine, usually the most expensive part of and the most complex part of any vehicle to develop, and then just throw it in one car. So yeah, I reckon we'll see it in more cars too. But anyway, confirmed for those two, the Supercar, the Tank 700. Now, I've driven the V6 Tank 700 and it ain't slow. So the V8 is going to be an absolute weapon. But this V8 will have plug-in hybrid assistance in there. So it'll have 1, 2, possibly 3 electric motors as well. But on its own, I reckon we're going to be looking at 400-ish kilowatts just for the V8. And potentially as much as 750 kilowatts combined and way more than 1,000 newton meters. It's going to be brawny. Don't worry about that. And will it come to Australia, this Tank 700 V8? Well, I think it most definitely will. Although let me read what old mate Jack says, and I quote, "In the future, the Tank 700 will also use a V8 engine. The Supercar uses a high-performance V8, while the Tank 700 uses a normal V8. This is completely opposite to the current environment or trend in China. It does not fit the Chinese market. We developed this V8 to meet the needs of more global users in markets such as Australia and New Zealand." He just said Australia and New Zealand by name. Now, the Tank 700 4x4 will not be cheap. I think it's going to be at least $100,000, possibly a lot more depending on the spec level. So this puts it in proper luxury territory up against vehicles like the Range Rover Sport and possibly even higher, maybe the Range Rover itself, and also the Land Cruiser 300 series, which goes up to 150 grand if you want to spend that much, except with a V8 and presumably about 600 times more torque. GWM's Australian team was also asked about whether anything on the Beijing stand at the motor show was completely off the table for local sale, and their answer, and I quote, "There's nothing on this stand that we would rule out." Short, sweet, and absolutely loaded. I like that. And if you thought the V8 story stopped at number 3, just to make sure this V8 love-in was complete at Beijing, Geely has also said, you know what? We don't mind V8s. We can do it. Now remember, this is a company that also owns Lotus and several other brands besides Polestar, Volvo, Zeekr, the list goes on. So it has revealed an all-new V6 engine and hinted that yes, a V8 version of this engine is entirely workable. The new engine is called the Horse Powertrain W30. I think they should have called it the WD30. So this Horse Powertrain is a partnership between Geely and Renault, a bit of an unlikely partnership you might say, but hey, we like it. So this is a twin-turbo 3-litre V6 designed from the ground up to work with hybrid systems. And it bangs out between 350 and 400 kilowatts before any electric assistance. That's up to 500 horsepower. And when asked if a V8 version of this engine could follow, Geely's Executive Vice President Victor Yang said, and I quote, "We can, but it depends on the needs from the market. A V6 to V8, that's easy. If we have a V6, it's easy to make a bigger one. So yeah, we could make a V8, no big deal. Maybe you could make a briefcase that transforms into a jet ski as well. You know, while we're dreaming, I wouldn't mind that too." But Yang did reflect that the hybrid systems probably give them way more grunt than a V8 would add anyway, so a V8 might not be strictly necessary. But let's not focus on that bit. Bring on the V8, mate. But on that point where you can get crazy amounts of power out of smaller engines, let's flick over to the new Zeekr 8X, which uses a 2-litre turbo petrol engine and a big battery and lots of electric motors, and that produces crazy amounts of power. It's very, very fast. The door is open, and considering Geely is looking at a full-size ute to take on the Ford F-150 in the US, because let's face it, tariffs aren't going to be there forever, then, a V8 starts to make a lot more sense, doesn't it? So the first new Geely models and obviously Renault models with this new V6 hybrid system will launch from 2028. So it's a little while off, but, the sands of time, they do seem to trickle past faster and faster every year. Well, they do to me anyway. Okay, now for a completely different vibe, but still on the performance train, an all-new hot hatch. And I'm genuinely excited about this one because I might actually be able to afford one, park one in my driveway. Yep, I had a look at the new Leapmotor B05 Ultra. And this is a hot hatch that could rekindle the glory days of cheap thrills. We're talking about rear-wheel drive, upgraded brakes, stiffer suspension, and reasonable power. 180 kilowatts pump into the rears. Yet it's priced in such a way that you won't have to sell a kidney or remortgage your entire garage. So it looks pretty cool, it's low slung, it's got Maserati tuned suspension, and it feels pretty sporty inside too. Color match seatbelts? Yes please. Right, a bit of nostalgia here because a much loved nameplate just came back from the dead. Don't say Terrano, it's not Terrano. Now, if you're of a certain vintage, you will remember the Nissan Terrano here in Australia. It was an SUV that was with us between the late 90s and about 2006. Boxy, honest, capable, and then it quietly disappeared. Well, Nissan just unveiled the Terrano PHEV concept at Beijing, and this is not your 90s family hauler. It looks pretty cool. This is a hardcore plug-in hybrid off-roader. It's jacked up, it's wearing all-terrain tires, and it could be a genuine step-down alternative from going to a 6-figure Nissan Patrol. Now, it's expected to share the same mechanical underpinnings as the Nissan Frontier Pro PHEV Ute, which is almost certainly coming to Australia, which means a powertrain in the ballpark of 300 kilowatts and 800 Newton meters. Them's good numbers. Now, Nissan Australia has made no secret that it is going to be sourcing more models from its Dongfeng Nissan joint venture in China. And we're seeing it with other brands, the Mazda, Chang'an tie-up. We're going to see a lot of Japanese brands turning to their Chinese buddies to make them electric cars, hybrids, EVs, all of that, because the Chinese do it better than anyone at the moment. And how's this? The Terrano has been specifically identified as an export model. That's good. The production vehicle that we'll see in about 12 months won't look quite as radical as this concept, but that's not a bad thing. And Nissan Australia told us, and I quote, "The Terrano PHEV concept is an exciting global reveal that highlights Nissan's ongoing investment in electrification. While we have nothing to announce for Australia at this stage, we see strong potential for an advanced hybrid of this nature and will certainly be assessing the business case." In corporate speak, that's essentially a standing ovation. If it arrives in Australia at the right price with the right off-road credentials, it could provide a real alternative to cars like the Jeep Wrangler, which may not be around for much longer. And Aussies love a capable ute-adjacent off-roader. Could be a winner. All right, it's Zeekr time, and Zeekr has had quite a time at the Beijing Motor Show. First, the 7GT. This is a shooting brake, kind of like a low-slung sporty wagon. It's full EV, like most Zeekrs at the moment. Now, it's due in Australia in late 2026 or early 2027, and it'll be positioned as a more style-focused, more high-performance vehicle than the 7X, which is mid-size SUV, currently Zeekr's top-selling model down under. And while the slinky new 7GT is cheaper than the 7X overseas, I have a hunch that it's going to be more expensive in Australia. But I'd be happy to be proven wrong. Anyway, what you get is a single rear drive e-motor version or a dual motor all-wheel drive version, and powertrains of between 310 and about 475 kilowatts with a 0 to 100 acceleration time of 2.84 seconds. In the quick one, That is ridiculous. That sounds like BS. But anyway, it's fast. And it's a bit of a gap filler in the EV market too, because, shooting brakes and sporty wagons at the moment are pretty rare. But we're seeing a bit of a resurgence here. You got the BYD CL6 Touring, C-Line 6, CL6? I get them mixed up. But yeah, BYD's pushing a very affordable $40,000 wagon as well. So yeah. It's definitely hotting up. The big news from Zeekr is the 9X. This is the big daddy, the flagship, the hero, the halo, the burger with the lot. This has been confirmed for Australia. It was confirmed at the Motor Show and is, to put it mildly, not messing around. So it's 5.2 meters long. It's got 6 seats, that big upright grille, squared off proportions, massive wheels, and it's been described as looking more like a Chinese version of the Royce Cullinan than anything else. And Zeekr is absolutely leaning into that comparison. They don't mind that at all. Power figures, off the scale. So the top spec triple motor plug-in hybrid comes with 1,030 kilowatts, 1,410 Newton meters. And yes, these vehicles are not EVs, they are hybrids. So the 0 to 100 kilometer an hour claim is 3.1 seconds. And I did actually get to have a brief drive of this in a car park yesterday. Not allowed to talk about it just yet, but I think you can, that kind of power and torque is going to make anything pretty quick. And it's got like a 70 odd kilowatt hour battery in there, which gives it a more than 300 kilometer hybrid EV range before that engine needs to kick in and charge up the battery again. And here's the fun part. They've already sold 50,000 units in China alone, making it one of the fastest selling ultra luxury SUVs in China. Expected pricing, it's hard to say. Some journos I was chatting with, and we're all just guessing here, reckon it'll be 120 grand. I reckon it'll be more like 130, 140, but we'll see. Zeekr has made a few surprises with their pricing in Australia. That 7X is very smartly priced. And finally, utes. Now, this one wasn't at the Beijing Motor Show. This scoop comes from my mates at Web Motors in Brazil. And thanks for the tip-off, guys. I love your work. BYD has confirmed the name for its next small ute in South American markets. It's called the BYD Mako. And yes, if you're playing brand consistency at home, Mako is a shark. Clever, huh? The Mako is built in Brazil for South American markets at the moment and comes with a flex fuel plug-in hybrid powertrain system. The Brazilian market runs heavily on ethanol, hence the flex fuel setup. So this powertrain is expected to bang out around 175 kilowatts, not too bad, and have up to 100 kilometers of electric range. So probably a pretty reasonable battery in there as well. Both 4x2 and 4x4 versions are expected, and when it arrives in Australia, it probably won't be wearing the Mako badge. It's almost certain to be called the Shark 5 here, because we've seen patent filings in Europe, which sometimes mirrors Australian Chinese export markets. So yes, BYD Australia recently told me at the Melbourne Motor Show that they are looking at a smaller ute. So this one probably is it. That said, our super sleuths over at Web Motors have said BYD are allegedly working on 2 more small utes. Well, actually 1 small one and 1 medium one globally. So there is a lot happening. They clearly want to own this pickup truck segment. So there you have it, the 2026 Beijing Motor Show, condensed and caffeinated for your viewing pleasure, direct from China. There is so much going on. There are so many new brands coming here. It's kind of hard to keep track of. So that is why I recommend you subscribe, because I'll be bringing you all the news you need to know every week, unless I get sick or lazy or, maybe go on holiday or something like that, I guess. But yes, I enjoyed this and I hope you enjoy watching it too. Drop a comment below on any of these crazy topics or anything you want. Maybe something you want me to cover in the next episode, and I'll see you next time.